Oh my God! That's 8 hours!
Jake Anderson and his crew made a huge catch, bringing in millions of crabs in just one day. The icy Bering Sea claims lives every year, making the hunt for Alaskan king crabs one of the deadliest jobs on Earth.
The area that Rip tipped me on. Patty Lee's around here targeting golden king crab. They're fishing around the same depths that black cod are in.
Storms lash out violently, and the bone-chilling cold pushes even the toughest to their limits. Yet fishermen like Jake Anderson keep heading back into these treacherous waters, driven by the promise of a huge catch. Why do they risk it all? Let's reveal how the crew struck gold, hauling in the crab jackpot and earning millions in just our day on the water. Life and risk in Alaskan crab fishing. Fishing, especially commercial fishing, is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, with a death rate of 141.7 out of every 100,000 workers. Commercial fishermen often lose their lives while out on the water, and for those who hunt for Alaskan king crabs, the dangers are even greater. The Bering Sea, where they fish, is notorious for its harsh and unpredictable weather during the crabbing season.
What the audience hasn't seen is a lifetime before the show. They never saw me as a struggling skateboarder trying to make a living doing that.
As they brace against the gale, an ominous crack echoes through the hull, a chilling reminder that not all who sail into the storm will navigate their way back home. But the fatalities aren't the only problem. The rate of injuries among crew members and deckhands is also extremely high. Almost every deckhand who steps on board a crab fishing boat during this season gets hurt, mostly because of the rough weather they have to face. But this isn't even the worst part. Injuries happen frequently, with slippery decks, heavy equipment, and freezing temperatures adding to the risk. The reality is that many who go into this profession know they are stepping into one of the most dangerous workplaces on Earth. Facing freezing winds, huge unexpected waves, and the constant threat of ice that could stop a boat in its tracks is far from easy. It's surprising that more fishermen don't just choose to stay home, especially with the real danger of getting hurt or even losing their lives out at sea. Still, these fishermen push forward, driven by the hope of a catch that could make a big difference for them and their families. They know there's always a chance they may not make it back, but there's also the chance they could bring in the biggest catch of their lives. Let's think about what happened in the final days of Season 18 of Deadliest Catch. Captain Jake Anderson and his crew on the FV Saga, a 170-foot boat, faced these tough conditions head-on.
I think one of the greatest stories that Deadliest Catch has played is the coming of age, the growth of Jake Anderson.
He has been looking for ways to overcome the many challenges of fishing for these valuable crabs for a long time. Even before he made his mark in 2007 as a well-known crab fisherman on Deadliest Catch, he was already proving himself as a dedicated sailor, focused on getting better and handling the dangers of the sea. From a young age, it was clear that he was meant to live a life close to the ocean. Even before he knew what he wanted to do in the future, it seemed obvious that the sea would play a big part in it. He was the fourth generation in his family to feel a strong connection to fishing. It was in his blood. He always felt at home by the water, a feeling that came naturally growing up in the fishing town of Anacortes, Washington. Surrounded by experienced fishermen, he was drawn to their way of life, picking up their skills and developing a deep love for the ocean. In his early years, he learned a lot from these local fishermen, especially from his uncle, Brian Mavar, who played a key role in shaping his love for the sea. As he reached his teenage years, he found the ocean's pull too strong to resist. By the time he was 17, he was already out on the waters of Bristol Bay, chasing the abundant salmon that thrived there. This was just the start of his hands-on education in the fishing industry. New challenges and rewards await him at sea. A fisherman's tale of triumph. His journey took him from one adventure to another. He found work on a trawler processor, and by age 25, he switched to pot fishing, a tougher and more demanding style of fishing. His hard work and determination paid off. Within a year, he earned a place as a greenhorn on the FV Northwestern. For the next 6 years, he threw himself into learning everything he could from the crew and the sea. This period of learning and adapting was a turning point for him. His dedication and countless hours of hard work transformed him from a beginner to a skilled fisherman. It wasn't just about catching fish. It was about becoming part of a community and keeping a family tradition alive, a legacy that tied him to the sea's ever-changing moods. His story is about more than just a career. It's a journey of growth shaped by his heritage and the constant lure of the ocean. His personality really started to shine during the years he spent fishing on the open ocean. He faced many personal struggles, like losing family members and battling addiction. But these tough experiences made him stronger. Over a 6-year period, he worked his way up the ranks, becoming a full-share deckhand. Eventually, he found himself working under Captain Sig Hansen as the relief deck boss. By 2010, he had overcome his addiction and achieved his USCG-made 16,000-ton fishing license, along with his master 100-ton license. But he didn't want to stop there. He dreamed of one day becoming the captain of his own ship. And this dream came true faster than he expected when he took over as captain of the FV Saga, setting his life on a steady new course.
You know, when I look back and think about Jake's progression as a fisherman, you know, when he first got on the Northwestern, he was mid-20s, just a kid. And it's amazing to see how far he's come in such a short time.
As captain, he is now responsible for keeping his crew safe and the 170-foot vessel running smoothly. After about 50 days at sea, they finally got a chance to see how much they had caught. Sadly, their haul wasn't as big as they had hoped. They managed to bring in enough crabs to earn around $630,000. A decent amount, but still a bit of a letdown given all their hard work. It might feel a bit frustrating not to beat the Time Bandit crew, but there's still a bright side. Every crew member and deckhand walked away with $70,000 each. That's not a bad payday. Now let's talk about the FV Saga. This boat returned to port with 62,000 pounds of crabs. Even though they lost 2,000 pounds of their catch, they still managed to bring in a good amount. After spending a month or two out at sea, battling the rough and unpredictable ocean, they've truly earned their reward. With their hard-earned money, they can now head back to their families, who they've missed so much during their long time away. It's been a tough year, with many ups and downs, but they've made it through stronger than ever. But here's the thing, it's not always about winning or losing. Sometimes it's about the journey and what you learn along the way. And for this crew, it's been a journey full of lessons, growth, and grit. And yet, the hardest part isn't always what happens on the water. It's the waiting, the long days and nights, wondering if you'll bring home enough to make it all worthwhile. But no matter how rough it gets, they've proven they can handle whatever comes their way. Fresh trials test their courage and spirit, navigating nature's moods. Even when things don't go exactly as planned, like with the lost catch, it's all part of the experience. In the end, it's about knowing they gave it their all, faced the challenges head on, and made it back home safely. Still, it makes you wonder, what keeps them going back, time and time again? Maybe it's the thrill, maybe it's the paycheck, or maybe it's something more. Either way, they'll be back at it again, ready for whatever the sea throws their way next time. The success of a fishing trip depends on a lot of things happening in nature. Weather changes, especially shifts in air pressure, can make a big difference. For example, when cold weather is on its way, fish tend to feed a lot, but once the cold front hits, they slow down and hide. On the other hand, when the weather warms up, fish become more active and start moving around more, particularly in places where the water goes from shallow to deep. The size of the waves and overall sea conditions also have a big impact on fishing. When the sea is calm, fishing is usually better. But when the water is rough, it can be hard for fishermen to reach the best spots and stay out on the water for long. Rough seas also make it tricky to handle fishing gear properly.
I mean, look at the waves. They're already just starting to blast now.
Wind is another factor that affects fishing. It stirs up the water surface and creates waves that can change fish behavior. Winds that push currents toward the shore can make fishing better by bringing in smaller fish and their predators. The direction of the wind is important too. Shores that face the wind often have more small fish gathering, which attracts bigger fish as well. But that's not all. These day-to-day weather changes are also connected to bigger climate patterns, like climate change, which can alter where fish live and how they behave over time. This makes fishing a tough and unpredictable job for Captain Jake Anderson. For example, fishermen also have to deal with how light changes in the water. Fish are sensitive to light, and the time of day matters a lot. Fish might come closer to the surface when it's cloudy or early in the morning when the sun isn't too bright. On sunny days, they might stay deeper where it's darker. But wait, there's another twist. The water's temperature plays a huge role too. Different types of fish prefer different temperatures, so knowing where warm or cold currents are can be a game changer.
Yesterday was so good. This spot's officially dried up. I either catch this fish or I forfeit the boat, and I don't even know where to put him.
He is confident in his skills and doesn't want to rely on the usual tips shared over the radio, which many fishermen use. He's determined to keep his boat and won't let himself be defeated so easily. Far out in the ocean, about 200 miles away, he decides to call his friend Rip for some advice. He and Rip discuss their situation over the radio. They agree to reset their nets in a spot where they had success before, hoping for another good catch. The conversation is full of hope, and it feels like everything might work out. But things aren't looking good on his boat, the Patricia Lee. Over the radio, he admits to Rip that things are tough. He's fishing in waters that are 200 fathoms deep, the deepest he's ever tried, and his usual tricks aren't working. He's desperate and shares that he's near a place with the unsettling name Accident, hoping for any tips that could turn things around. The sea's challenges increase with every net dropped. Life on the Black Cod Fleet. From afar, one might spot several boats from the Black Cod Fleet dotting the ocean's expansive canvas. Among these vessels, it's plausible to imagine a particular one belonging to Debs, whose depth at sea is the subject of mild curiosity. Not far away, another boat positioned close to Herbie's vessel suggests a preference for the deeper waters, likely around 330 fathoms, where the darker mysteries of the sea are whispered among the waves. In the world of fishing, proximity is often a cause for concern, as no one desires tangled lines or overcrowded spots. There's an understanding that might compel one to introduce additional long-line gear, albeit reluctantly. This decision, while necessary, comes with a promise of discretion, a commitment to operate unseen, like a shadow merging with the twilight sea. Upon agreeing to the cautious proposal, a quick stipulation is made, emphasizing a hope to avoid overlap in the aquatic territories. Gratitude is expressed to Rip for his understanding, followed by a farewell that carries a promise of future reconnection as the sea continues to murmur its age-old tales to those who choose to listen. We're getting ready to start dropping our gear in the deep waters, putting in a lot of effort with every drop. I'm setting out 40 pots in the spot Rip suggested. Patty, who usually goes after golden king crab, is also fishing in these waters at similar depths as the black cod. On a day filled with challenges and driven by a trust in Rip's guidance, one fisherman set out on a precarious journey. Desperation had nudged him to undertake a long trip, aiming to set out 40 pots based on the recommendations of Captain Rick Carlton, a seasoned longline expert. As he ventured into the waters, a sense of unease crept in. The sea was unusually quiet, devoid of the usual clusters of boats. The risks of entanglement loomed large in his mind, a potential debacle with strings of 200 pots each, all representing a significant financial stake. With his boat laden with valuable equipment, he was not one to embrace unnecessary risks. Yet on this day, the traps came up empty, time and again, underscoring his frustration. He contemplated relocating, seeking a more promising spot, his resolve tested by the barren halls. As he was about to cut loose a tangled buoy, a sudden commotion caught his attention. His efforts to avoid complications seemed futile as the situation deteriorated into a complete mess, prompting a mix of irritation and resignation. But amidst the mounting chaos, an unexpected sound of applause and music pierced through, transforming the atmosphere and adding a surreal touch to the day's events.
We land on them quick.
Amid building seas, Captain Jake Anderson readies his crew to set his long line gear, gunning to make...
The turn of events bewildered him as he navigated through the day's surprises, each moment unfolding with its own set of challenges and unexpected twists. The deck is overflowing with fish. Every container and pot is filled to the brim. There's no more space left, and the catch is huge, a sign of a great harvest. The count reaches 375 as the crew tries to make sure all containers have an equally big catch. They want every pot to be a winner, not just a few. The atmosphere shifts to one of excitement, like they just hit the jackpot, with cheers ringing out for the unexpected bounty. Before long, the count jumps to 478. The crew celebrates this quick gain, like money falling from the sky. In just a few minutes, they've earned $20,000. Then amidst the excitement, a golden crab appears. It's a rare find that adds extra thrill to their day and boosts the value of their haul even more. But not everything goes smoothly. Tangled equipment slows them down, reminding everyone of the challenges they face out on the water. Yet they stay focused on the sea's generosity, grateful for a day full of surprises and rewards. As night falls, they face new risks and chances at sea. A close call at sea. In the evening, while walking on the deck of their boat, they called down to Herbert to check on his gear. Herbert confirmed everything was there. Suddenly, they gasped in surprise at something unexpected and quickly warned Herbert to keep a safe distance, especially since the water was so deep. Around 300 fathoms, it became clear that there might be a problem. They mentioned the possibility of the lines crossing, hinting at a tangle. Frustration started to build as they thought about their knowledge of ocean currents and where they had set the crab traps, trying hard not to interfere with RIP's operations. This mistake was a big deal. It could harm their working relationship, put both crews in danger, and even risk their jobs. But then they noticed something that gave them a bit of hope: the shiny shells of golden king crabs in their traps. Feeling the need to make things right, they decided to call RIP to apologize for setting up too close. Even with the tension hanging in the air, seeing those golden crabs brought a small sense of relief. It was still early, but it looked like there was a chance for a good catch, sparking a bit of hope that maybe, just maybe, the day could still turn out okay. These apps have maps that show you where to fish, what types of fish you might catch, and tips from other fishermen about the best bait to use.
We're gonna set right back here. Roger!
Picking the right fishing spot is important, whether it's a pond, a stream, or an area by the sea. It's good to know a bit about the place and how the fish behave. For example, in rivers, fish often hang out in calmer waters, behind big rocks or fallen trees where the current isn't as strong. In the sea, the best fishing times are often when the tides are changing. These apps don't just help you find the perfect spot. They also let you connect with other fishers. You can share your catches and learn from others about which places are giving good results and what techniques are working. Remember, it's important to fish responsibly. Make sure you have the right fishing license and follow the rules that protect fish populations, so there will be plenty of fish for the future. Fishing is more enjoyable, whether you're by yourself or with friends, when you combine these digital tools with your own knowledge of the area. They help you find the best spots and times, making every trip more successful. But that's not all. Finding the perfect spot and getting the right bait are just part of the experience. The real fun begins when you feel that first tug on your line. But there was a problem. They urgently needed to gather as many crabs as possible. They were open to ideas and eager to hear if Jake had any helpful suggestions. Taking Jake's advice, they decided to set the traps about 2 fathoms shallower and started placing them. The results were surprising right away. Almost half the trap was filled in no time, showing a big improvement in their catch. Excitement grew as they pulled up another trap, proving that Jake's advice was spot on. What do you think? Does sharing fishing spots help or hurt the community? Like, comment, and subscribe to join the debate and stay updated on more content like this.